What's up?
What's up, everybody? What's up, James? Man, thank you for having me on today.
Man, I am excited to have you on. Just let everybody know, once again, we do these every Thursday at 11 o'clock where we're interviewing somebody that's, providing tremendous value in the real estate community. And I'm so excited to have my buddy here, Jeff Quiane. And, because, he's done so much already. And I'm excited about what we're going to be able to talk about today. So, Jeff, man, for those that don't know, I know your story, but for those that don't know, tell us how you got into this real estate background because you got a pretty interesting story into that.
Yeah, man. So again, thanks for having me on. And you've been dropping a lot of value, man. We were just talking about it, and you've been adding a lot of value to agents. So good job, doing that, man. I'm just lucky to be a part of it. I spent almost 20 years in the investment business, raised a lot of capital over the phone. So, my go to line if I'm talking at a boot camp or something is always if you've ever seen Boiler Room, Glengarry, Glen Ross, Wall Street, something like that, that's the environment that I lived in for almost 20 years. And so you can imagine there was good and bad. But man, last night we have a group here at NAEA. We call it Elite. They're agents who are doing less than 25 deals a year and want to get there. And we believe that that's a focus primarily on pipeline production, prospecting, presentations. Those three things will get you there. And so last night I posted something in the group over here. I have a bunch of old leads, old oil and gas investor leads from like 2005. And they were sitting, I looked at them and I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to do this crap no more. I'm looking at the leads and, it just takes you back. We all, have that somewhere in our timeline. And so, man, getting back to how I got here, spent a long time in that business and made a lot of money, blew it all. But, man, I woke up every day hating to go to work at the end, absolutely hating to go to work. I remember, the firm I worked at, I had a client who was sending a check in for 60,000. And so that would have been $6,000, right? It was in the FedEx. All he needed me to do was to schedule the third party pickup and have FedEx come and pick up the check. And it would have been $6,000 because it's 10% commission. So $6,000 immediately. And by the way, you got paid every week. So, man, that's how you blow some money right there. You paid every week. Shoot.
Yeah.
But, man, I couldn't pick that check up. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to call him and pick it up. Number one, I'd lost belief in some of the product. And number two, I just hated what I was doing. And so finally, anybody who's out there who's trying to get away, part-time agents or something, you're trying to cut ties and make a full-time commitment, you got to do it. So it took me forever, probably for 5 years to try to get out of that business. But you run that tape in your head of, what else am I going to do? I don't have a college degree. I dropped out of high school. I got a GED, and I only got that when I was like 21 because I had a stepdad who drugged me to the thing on a whim, in Mountain View, California, and I took it. So you're telling yourself, where else am I going to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year? What else am I qualified to do? I'm stuck. I gotta stay here. What am I going to do? Go work somewhere for $30,000, $40,000 a year and work my way up? Yeah, actually. That's probably what you should do, or find an opportunity that gives you a better platform. But what I did is finally, I answered an ad that Wally Bressler had posted on behalf of Jay and Mike's brokerage in Addison, Texas. And it was for an ISA position. And I'm like, shit, I'm calling investors, asking them to send me checks for $200,000 for years. I'm calling an expired listing. Shoot, no problem, right? Somebody who actually wanted to sell their home, at least at some point. And so I went in and interviewed with NAEA, and that interview process was a learning experience. Also, we have it dialed in for sure, and took that position. Worked for probably almost a year, sitting in that cubicle with Miranda, who James, still on the team today, and we had some other ISAs, a team of about 10 ISAs, and we had like 20 agents who each serviced a market service area around Dallas-Fort Worth. And so we sat in a room all day calling expireds, canceleds for sale by owners, home value leads, circle prospecting. We would nurture anybody who wasn't ready to meet until they were ready to meet. So that's what we did. And with that, one thing led to another, and I went in there And anybody who's wanting to make an impression, what I did is I went in there and I stood up and made calls. Nobody else was standing up and making calls. I was loud and kind of like, just I wanted to come in and not try to hide in the cubicle. I wanted to come in and be like, boom, show up. You know what I mean? Show up and show out. And so, Kitchens had his office right there, and he'd have his door closed on his coaching calls, and he'd hear me and be like, what's that guy saying? Wally, it was fun, man. It was fun. And so that one thing led to another, man. As you know, we have the expert advisor boot camps usually every year. And so I remember, as an ISA going to the first boot camp and meeting a lot of people. I don't know, we met a long time ago, James, but gosh, I can think of some people that I met at that first boot camp back in like 2014, 15. You know what I mean? That's the time frame that we're talking about. And just seeing all those people grow, man, that's been amazing. And me as well. So it provided me an opportunity to move into what I do now. And it's kind of a little bit of everything, helping agents build their brand, helping, especially agents who need to be focused on fundamental sales skills, helping them, get better and just doing what we can to add value, man. Same as you. The good thing about our group, no matter who you're with, by the way, no matter what brokerage you might be with, obviously we all know there's an affinity for a particular one, but no matter what it is, man, this group is all about adding value, and NAEA has been that way for a long time, but you and everybody else who's probably on the other end watching, and I think everybody has done a good job adding value. That's how I got here.
Man, it's a lot, man. Like you were saying, just like burning the boats. I mean, a lot of people talk about just burning the boats. I mean, you can continue to do the same thing that you've been doing that you're not happy with, or you can just kind of get out and go down that next path where it is going to lead to where you want to go. And I think a lot of people, they're scared, they're nervous, or whatever. But I mean, you gotta jump out there, right? I mean, you just gotta make it happen, and that's what you did, and obviously, that journey led you to what you're doing right now. So, like, how what gave you the confidence that, hey, this is going to be the thing that I'm going to do no matter what? Because a lot of people they're scared, they're nervous, they got a paycheck, they don't want to lose that paycheck. Like, what was the thing that kind of clicked in you? Was like, hey, I'm going down this road, hell or high water.
Yeah, well, to be quite frank, I didn't have confidence. It was stepping into the unknown, right? And you might as well get used to that. No matter what it is, you're walking up, knocking on a door, get used to the unknown. You showing up, talking to a team about joining your team, you better get ready for the unknown. You prospecting, you better get ready for the unknown. Tomorrow is the unknown. We're getting ready right now for it. And so, I think if you wait until for the perfect time, there's no perfect time. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, I just be real open and vulnerable with y'all. So I don't have kids. And that's a personal, thing I go back and forth with all the time. And it's not too late. But I remember a long time ago, probably 15 years ago, I was in a situation where the subject of having kids was on the table, and I was going back and forth. And I remember I used to go to the steakhouse, Del Frisco's. It was here in Dallas, Texas, and I used to hang out in that lounge a lot. And a bunch of old timers, right? I was maybe 30. And so I was asking some old timers like, oh, what do you think? And you know what they told me? They said, because what do you have? What are your excuses right now? What's your excuse for not leaving what you're doing? Well, I got to just wait for this thing to close. Just if I can get past the holidays next year, January would be a good time to start. Oh, right now I got, a bunch of potential clients, so I can't walk away from them. I got to wait till all that. All these things we tell ourselves, it's just not the right time. Getting back to me, it's just not the right time for me to do that. What those old timers who had a lot more experience than me said is, Jeff, there ain't never going to be the right time. You ain't never going to feel like it's the right time. The right time doesn't exist. The whole point is you have to do it regardless. You have to do it regardless of it being the right time. And so, I had been through some circumstances before, James, that had prepared me to step into the unknown. So, I left California when I was 17. I'd already had my own apartment when I was 17 and was on my own. And I rode a train from uh, uh, Salinas, California to Dallas, Texas with 3 boxes of ownings, and that was it. And I started over then. I worked at a Harold's clothing store, and then eventually got in the investment business. So I started over, probably 3 times, unfortunately, when I got to the moment that we're talking about. And I remember when I had an investment company in the oil and gas business, and things weren't going well, and commodity prices were changing, and it was just hectic. I probably wasn't any fun to be around. And this was probably, I don't know, 2010, maybe something like that. And I should have left the business then. Should have gotten out of the industry. I wanted to. I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. The people around me didn't enjoy me being in it. And I remember then being at that crossroads, and I wasn't willing to set down my pride and just take, a new opportunity. Oh, I'm should be making this, and I had the pride, and I wasn't prepared to step into the unknown. I wanted to have the right time, which doesn't exist. And so by the time we got to 2014, 15 or so, when I saw that ad from Wally, all that experience is baked in to the decision. And so I knew better than to wait on the right time. I also knew that the people around me weren't going to wait on me because they left before, right? The people that were around you, the people, the last time you went through a tough situation and you didn't make the right decisions and it negatively affected you, that affects the people around you. And it's a spouse, a girlfriend, friends, they walk away from you. So I lost people because I didn't make the right decisions that time. So again, 2014, 15, you're looking around and you have people that you care about. And it wasn't just suck it up for me and just take a new opportunity, but also for them. You know what I mean? I had a responsibility this time around to not make the same mistake. And so all that was kind of just like you said, burn the boats. I didn't have confidence that it was going to work or anything. I just knew I had to do something. And so, I burnt the boats, as in what that means is there's no other option, right? If James and I go take a little Zodiac over to the island there and we're going to make a charge on somebody and we burn that Zodiac boat when we get on shore, we're all in. I'm not an Ironman swimmer. I don't know about James, but without that boat, I need it. So, man, yeah, I burnt the boats, and what attracted me, I guess, if anything, what I could say, man, is what I knew is the culture there. So anybody who's creating an organization right now, I'm not that much different, probably, or the moment in time we're talking about, I'm that agent probably that you're talking to all the time. If you're talking to new agents, right? Whether or not we were doing the same function day to day, we were kind of at that same space. And for me, it was the culture. Wally, Mike, and Jay, and the whole NAEA culture that they had created, if anything, gave me like enthusiasm and optimism that this was the right place. I knew I had to do something, and there were other opportunities out there, but because of the culture, I felt like it was the right place. It wasn't the compensation model, I'll tell you that. It wasn't anything like that. It was the culture, you know what I mean? And I felt like it would be a place that I could grow and that I would enjoy. And so when we're working with agents, man, we try to convey that same thing. We got to think about community, culture, core values, what people want to belong to, and a little bit less about the tangible things maybe that we get caught up on, because what got me there wasn't the things, it was kind of the culture and the growth mindset.
Yeah. Man, I know like our topic today is like no BS, get it done. And you actually did one of our masterminds one time, and a lot of times, people come and they were like, "Oh, this great way of getting listings, this great way to work with buyers, great way of all this other stuff," and you came through and you was just like, "Hey, I'm the kick in the butt guy." You know what I'm saying? You've already heard all this stuff. You just got to go get this thing done. And like I really appreciated that because we spend a lot of time listening and swelling up our head with all this knowledge and information. And if you don't actually utilize it to actually go make something happen, I mean, what's the point, right? So
Mm.
like for you, helping agents, working in AEA. Like, what are some of the things that you find that agents need the most to just get it done? You know what I'm saying? Stop the BS, stop the whining, stop the why, and it's different levels, right? Because like you got the new agent, you got the agent that's doing, you know, 0 to 5 deals. You got the agent that's doing 30 to 50 deals, you know, 50 to 100, you know, 100 to 200. You know, everybody wants to grow, but there's a cost that has to happen for you to grow. And if you're not counting that cost first of all, and then executing on it, you're never gonna get to where you really want to be, right?
Yeah, you nailed it, man. You know, I believe there are some simple fundamentals, you know, like strategy, number one, you know. So right now, let's say it's a low inventory market. I looked at some numbers, you know, Metro Atlanta, I think has about right now 6,500 sold about 6,500 homes or so in March. Average home sales price around 473,000. Inventory was down something like 19%, I believe, you know, month over month. And so it's tough right now. So what's our strategy to find new opportunities? That's number one. Maybe we focus on homes with a higher price. Maybe Haperville, is that right, or something? I noticed that place is blowing up right there. The property
Yeah,
values
it
blew
is.
up. So maybe I go target some places over there with a message that, hey, Mr. Homeowner, did you know that your area right now is really attractive to buyers, and we're working with a lot looking in the area. Do you happen to know anybody who's looking to make a move? What about yourself? If you ever had to make a move, when do you think that might be? You know what I mean? I'm getting off on, but so we believe strategy number one, you got to have a strategy. You have to have the right mindset. So strategy, mindset, you got to have the skills. So strategy, mindset, skills, we believe those are three of the most important things. Beyond that, you know, you have to have some technology. You got to have execution is the number one thing, right? Execution. We got to analyze. So you got to be keeping track of your key metrics. If we're talking about, you know, securing new opportunities, what are the activities that will get you in front of a buyer or a seller? What are those activities that could get you in front of a qualified buyer or seller? Whatever those activities are that you determine, and I'm not even saying that you have to pick up the phone. If you want to go do it a different way, whatever. But list what are those activities that you could do, and then how many reps do we need to do, or how much time do we need to spend doing those activities to get the result that we want? That's our key metric. That's what we have to analyze, right? If it's 100 calls a day, because I know that's going to put me in contact with 20 people, and out of those 20, I'm going to get one appointment, then what I'm analyzing is, you know, those metrics of 100 calls a day. I got to hit that. So we got to analyze. And then I think what a lot of people don't do is adjust. You got to take what your analysis has shown you and make some adjustments. And I believe pretty much there's always some adjustments to be made. The unfortunate thing for those of us that have had a measure of success is that, you know, you stop analyzing and you stop adjusting and you're just coasting because, you know, you're riding on what got you there. And you know, sometimes then you get kind of at a plateau, and maybe you don't feel as energized every day when you're going to work or doing what you do. So if you feel that way, man, maybe you need to get back to the basics. That term's that for a reason. Get back to the basics, re-energize yourself, and watch what happens. But yeah, analyze, adjust, and then repeat. You got to repeat these things. It's not, man, you know, how many in any sales position, somebody woke up today and expected to make it all happen today, right? Somebody woke up today and expected that they were going to make it all happen today. And in sales, it don't work that way. You got to make a little bit of progress each day, and over the course of time, all those small victories add up to the big win. But man, you know, it's nothing worse than, oh shoot, I don't know how I'm going to pay the office rent. I don't know how I'm going to pay the employees, or I don't know how I'm going to cover my nut this month. And it's already May 14th. I'm going to wake up today and think dude, you should have been doing this in March. We wait until, and then we're going to do everything it takes, all those activities to get in front of the buyers. Yeah, we're going to start doing them then. Unfortunately, though, we're going to expect to get a return on those activities immediately. You know what I mean? And that don't work that way. I mean, you don't buy a stock, I don't care what stock it is, I'm not buying Tesla today and selling it this afternoon and expect to make a bunch of money.
Yep.
And I can't make some calls today and expect to make a bunch of money today either, or even expect to get an appointment today. I can't make the calls and put that kind of expectation on myself. What I'd rather do, like James said about execution, I'd rather measure myself on my execution and set my expectations around today. I'm going to do the activities I need to do. I'm going to hit my metric, and I'm going to focus on execution. Whether or not I get, the appointment, the outcome that I'm trying to get to, we'll see. I believe if I have the right skills, the right mindset, the right strategy, the right technology, then, I have a good chance if I just focus on execution. But acting is it, man. Too many of us watch all this, me included, watch all this stuff, and at some point you need to turn off the tube and start putting in the work.
You got to put the work in, man. I mean, if you don't put the work in, you're just not going to get what you want.
A bunch
But
of smart people out there with empty wallets.
it's a lot of them, right? It's a lot of them. Hey, they can tell you what to do, but they can't do it for themselves, right? I mean, that's how this whole thing works. But I mean, I think a big thing what you was talking about as well was just kind of more so just tracking, right? Just tracking, what you're doing. If I make 100 calls, how many of those 100 calls actually equals to an appointment? How many of those appointments equal to people that I'm gonna be working with? How many of those people that I'm working with is gonna equal to closings? So you gotta have that down pat. And I think what a lot of people do, like you said, the reason why they don't continue is because they don't have any type of measurement. They don't have anything to say that, hey, if I make this number, then I'm gonna get these amount of closings. So now, if I want more closings, all I got to do is increase that number. They're just kind of like, they'll make a few calls, like you said, and then after making those calls, they'll stop. But real estate is pipeline driven. I mean, that's really what this whole thing is. Like you're building up a pipeline. I want to attract as many people in my top of funnel as I can, and then I want to sort them out based upon when they're looking to move, when they're looking to sell, and then I want to have a system that's gonna follow up with them on a consistent basis, so I'm top of mind. Um, I just think that's the key to all of this stuff. When I grew my fastest, it was simply because I had an overflow of every sector of that pipeline. I had an overflow of leads, and then I had an overflow of appointments from those leads, and there was an overflow of people that I was working with. Then I had the overflow of closing. If any part of that pipeline isn't in the overflow status, you're going to have that real estate roller coaster. What I call, steak and lobster one month, ramen noodles the next month. I mean, you're just going back and forth. So like doing the work, right? I mean, because that's what you're doing. You start making a phone call, you standing up, and you're bold about it, right? I mean, you got to be kind of bold and have fun with it, right?
Man, you got listen. Yeah, I don't know. It's going back to old school stuff, man. Number one, if you're calling people on the phone, just fundamental stuff that you learn is that however excited and whatever you think your level is, it's lessened over the phone. And so if you think that you're at a 10, man, I'm all fired up. What's up, James? And that sounds like a 5 over the phone. So you really got to get animated if you want to catch somebody's attention over the phone. So you have to be bold. Otherwise, with all the white noise people have going on around them today, or not white noise, we are the white noise if we don't stand out. And so in order to get somebody's attention, you got to be bold. That's why we do stand up and we do all of those things. And in order to have fun with it, you have to kind of make it a craft. I mean, I don't know anybody who's made a lot of money in sales who isn't kind of nerdy when it comes to closing. You know what I mean? Like they treat it as a craft. It's not just a sale. They're not ashamed to be called a salesperson, number one. And I think that that's what a lot of real estate agents need to shed, is that shame of thinking that you're a salesperson. that's what we are. And it doesn't matter what we do. I mean, we're selling something to somebody. If I'm selling Josie on going out of town this weekend, I mean, and so many agents kind of want to not be a salesperson. And I think, if you're telling yourself that, then when you get into sales situations, you've already got a mental model that's going to cause, a lot of, friction internally. So yeah, you got to have fun with it, man. And so you find ways to do that. Yeah. Being bold and using new things. I mean, I would use shit, man, like the stuff you hear, notes. James said something and you're like, dang, that was good. I should say that to my seller. Like, using that stuff, actually using it, making that part of the game. Coming up, I used to call my buddy Scott, like in the shower, notoriously. I'd call him in the morning because I'd be thinking about some rebuttal or something. And I'd call him and be like, hey, what do you think about this one? And I'd give him the line, you know what I mean? And like, that just was always going through my head. And I enjoyed it. I got stacks and stacks and just one-liner rebuttals and stuff written over the years. And I believe that because I invested that kind of focus into it, the universe worked on my side and shared a measure of success with me, right? I have team members on our team that I struggle with because, we'll watch something like we were talking about, or we'll have a great sales meeting and we'll come up with some great ways to better articulate our value and transition to a close and all these fundamental aspects. We'll have all that stuff and they exist somewhere on a piece of paper. Who knows where those notes end up for these team members? I don't know, but they never get used. That stuff never happens on a live call. The stuff and I'll say, so here's what we say, whatever, boom, boom, boom. And they'll go, oh, I know. Yeah, I know. And then when I listen to calls or something, or tomorrow, if I go, what do we say in that situation? They can't tell me, and so yet they're telling me they know. And so, you have to practice, man. You really got to dial it in and treat it as a craft. And for me, that made it fun. And I'd still treat it that way, man. I'm a master of my craft, or I try to be. But I mean, talking about metrics, I'm gonna tell you this, and it is no matter what you're doing. Like, agent attraction, I know a lot of people listening are probably focused on finding other agents that they can bring to their team and add value to. I was on a call with an agent yesterday who has a team of 12, production team of 12, works right there in their office, and then a downline of people, there's like 50, right? Mm-hmm. And he was getting ready to get on a call with Sheplak, right? So you want to talk about metrics. He's like, oh, man, I got to get on this call with John, and I got to put my numbers together because the first thing he's going to ask me is how many of these recruiting calls. I'm supposed to be making calls right now, Jeff. As soon as I hang up with you, I got to make my recruitment calls, right? Because I have to get on with Sheplak here in a little bit, and I got to show him exactly how many calls that I've made and how many appointments that I've set to speak to agents and everything. He's going to ask me for that. I mean, he's requiring that of them. Why? Why is he making him do that? Because like we just said, man, if you can focus on those daily activities, and if you can't do it, if I can force you to do it in some way or agitate you in a way to where you'll do it, then you can't avoid the results, man. You can't avoid the results. If you pick up the phone and call, 300-400 dials a day, and you do that for 30 days, there's absolutely no way. There's no way that you wouldn't put $5,000 in your pocket. Maybe not today, but within the next 90 days, that work you did that 30 days would put $5,000 in your pocket. So, you tell me if that's worth it or not. We used to go through and do the math, like whatever you make annually, if you're in sales, you can divide that out across those activities that generate the sales. If we're talking about making calls, let's say you made 500 dials a week, 100 dials a day. So what's that? 2,000 dials a month, 2,000 dials a month. Let's say I got that deal that's going to pay me $5,000. So each one of those 2,000 dials was worth like $2.50. Even the people that told me, Jeff, I hate you, never call me again. $2.50. Thank you. Right. that 2,000 dials, if it makes me $5,000, take the $5,000 divided by the 2,000. Each one of those calls is worth $2. If I told you, if you knew at the end of the day, I was going to count you the cash out, how many calls would you make today? At $2 a call. James, I'll pay you $2 a call. You can make as many calls as you want today. At the end of the day, I'll give you the cash. How many calls are you going to make?
I'm gonna make 2,000.
Right.
I'm calling as many people as I can. Like Tony Robbins talk about, he's like, everybody make their must, right? So, whatever it is that, some people they're very comfortable with just having, not enough, and that's their must. And some people are comfortable with having just enough. Some people are comfortable just being a little bit over, having a little bit more than what they need. And then some people, they want that abundance. And, I mean, that's really what this whole thing is talking about. It's like, if you're making those, because I know there's somebody that's thinking like 2,000 calls, that's crazy. Who will make 2,000 calls?
I
And
mean, that's only in a month. That's only 100 calls a day.
yeah,
You got to break it down to the ridiculous. That's exactly how we go. Oh, there's no way. Actually, man, it's only 100 calls a day. And actually, those 100 calls on a dialer probably take you less than an hour. Could you do in 1 hour? That's all we're talking about,
yep,
right?
yep. So if they understand that, and to be honest with you, if you're doing that number, it's going to be way more than one deal. It's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be, because it's going to pay, like I said, it's pipeline driven, so it's going to pack out to like, all right, now you might have that one month, but then that next month you might have two. The next month you'll have three because you're meeting people at different stages of when they actually plan on making those moves. So you're going to have, five, six, seven closings, what I'm saying, 10, 30, 40, $50,000 months. That's going to happen if you stay consistent with that, man. um oh man,
Consistency is the key, too, because what will happen is you will have that $50,000 month, and you're going to go take off to Hawaii for 2 weeks.
vacation.
Yeah.
Vacation, you
You're
know
going to
how
take
we do it.
and then you're going to come back and you're going to look like some of those old oil fields in Oklahoma. They all dried up. That's what your pipeline is going to look like. It's the
That's
old oil fields. You see those pump jacks as you drive, and they ain't going up and down anymore.
yeah,
It's because they all dried up. And that producer had to go drill some new wells. And guess what? Drilling new wells is expensive,
yeah.
and there's a whole lot of risk, and it ain't comfortable. I'd much rather have maintain a nice producing property, create a pipeline that will consistently send product down the line. And that's what you're doing when you're making those calls. And listen, there's people that, I'm an old school salesperson in my mind, and but I've learned to become a marketer and a lot of other things, and so I appreciate there are other ways to do things. We talk a lot about prospecting. If you're somebody who's like, man, I don't, build my business on prospecting or whatever, it's not just whatever the activity is. You go to events, everybody wants to go to an event. Then how many hands do you have to shake to get a quality conversation with an agent who's open to listening about a new opportunity? Do you know what that number is? Like, do you know how many events, you have to go to get somebody who joins your team? If you're, whatever it might be.
I mean, it could be like social media posts. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like,
yeah,
so,
social media posts,
social
100%.
media posts, putting content out. Like, I mean, all of that stuff ties in with doing the work. Just getting it done. No
And
BS.
focused on the execution, man, the execution, right? What you were talking about in that $50,000 month, and how you build that pipeline is, I'm not at the end of the day looking up going, where's my 50 grand? I'm just consistently focused on those day-to-day activities that I know will generate the outcome I want, and just trust the process and just do those things day in and day out. And you will look up and you'll be amazed at what you've accomplished. But, I think for a lot of people, it's tough. Anybody, we're not excluded from this. It's tough, to not want instant results these days. And, when you tell somebody, hey, man, I guarantee you'll make 15 grand 90 days over the course of the next 90 days if you do what I'm telling you. I guarantee it. They won't do it. They just want, it's not quick enough. Like I said, if I paid you $2 and you knew you were going to get cash at the end of the day, you'd make 2,000 calls. If I told you I'm not going to pay you, but there's actually 20 grand on the other end of the phone, trust me, you'd give up all that greater opportunity. You want certainty. I guess what we're saying, James, is, man, we want certainty. And all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, if you're looking for certainty, good luck, because it's, you got to get used to the unknown and prepare yourself how to navigate in those waters.
But I mean, once you get used to operating like that, I mean, honestly, you get comfortable with it. I mean, it is scary at first, when you're just not really knowing where that next check is going to come from. But once you get good at it, like you can almost predict it, and that's predict. All right, well, I know I'm going to have this amount of closing this month because I'm doing this activities. Kind of be married to the process, not the result. And just get
And
things done.
married to the process, man. Your name. I know if I asked you if you were in heavy production right now, and I said, James, where are your next 3 listings coming from? You'd be able to tell me their names right now, even though they're not. Maybe that's somebody you think is going to be 2 weeks from now, or whatever. But the name. There's nothing that drives me crazier than if I ask a salesperson, hey, like this week, who are we going to close? I don't know. Let me go. I got to check my database. Hold on. What? Like, man, you could ask me anytime, who am I going to close? And I don't need to look in my database. I know their names. I might even know their phone numbers back in the day because I've been thinking about that shit all night. I've been thinking about that all weekend. I've been going over in my head every reason why they're going to say no, every angle that I could use. I've been role playing it I have manifested this sale. You know what I mean? I don't need to go to my database and find my money, like Grant Cardone says. Who's got my money, sucker? Like, dude, you got to know. I had this conversation with our team the other day. Who we gonna get this week? I got to go look in my database. Are you kidding me? Like, that's your money. I would have been thinking about all weekend, man, where am I going to get my money next week? You know what I mean? Because you've got things you want to do for your family and you've got causes that you want to support and everything. It's not about the money. It's about what that allows us to do. So, it is about the money, but yeah, man.
Well, man, I mean, it's been awesome, dude. Just having this conversation with you. I mean, I know a lot of people got a lot of value out of it. I mean, just kind of recapping, just letting everybody know, like we do these every Thursday at 11 o'clock, where we're interviewing somebody that's providing tremendous value to the real estate industry in itself. And my buddy Jeff Quiane, man, like I mean, I appreciate you, dude. If anybody got any questions, you can definitely reach out to him. You can, he has his with Jeff Kiani, Jeff at NAEA.com. Reach out to him if you have any questions or whatever. I mean, you can reach out to me at jameshmassey.com. I mean, we really come from a point of help and we want to see your business grow. Any last words, Jeff, before we pop out of here?
Man, I just thank you for having me on and keep doing what you do. And everybody out there listening, it's Thursday. It's not the end of the week. Still plenty of time to get some stuff done.
Love it, man. No BS. Get it done. Love it.